The relations between Canada and India have sunk to their lowest point in years. As the two nations swap accusations and expel each other's diplomats over the killing of a Canadian Sikh separatist leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar, the members of the Sikh community both in India and Canada face the brunt. Residents of the city of Amritsar in Punjab, the heart of India's Sikh community, are worried about the consequences of this escalation of tensions between their home country and the nation that hosts a significant population of the Sikh community.
इस वेले बहुत ज़्यादा पंजाब की कम्यूनिटी जिहड़ी है कनाडा विच जाके वसी हुई है उस बारे जरूर सोचना चाहिए कैनेडियन गवर्नमेंट नूं भी कि साडा जो किता होया कोई भी किसी तरह का भी गल वो किस तरीके नाल फर्क पैंदी है पंजाबी कम्यूनिटी नूं इस बारे जरूर सोचना चाहिए।
साडे इत्थों पंजाब जो गए जिहड़े वसनीक ने नौकरियां दी खातर गए ने पढ़ाइयां दी खातर गए ने उन्हां ते बड़ा माड़ा असर पै रिहा है।
The local residents also urged the Indian government to provide better facilities in terms of education, employment, and social security to avoid migration from India to Canada and other foreign nations.
Indian government ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਇੱਥੇ ਹਾਲਾਤ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੇ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਕਿ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਦੀ ਲੋਕੀ ਮੂਵ ਨਾ ਕਰਨ ਦੂਸਰੇ ਦੇਸ਼ਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਦੇ ਹਾਲਾਤਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਦੁਖੀ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਲੋਕੀ ਮੂਵ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ।
In Canada, the members of the community draw a parallel between the murder of Nijjar, a respected member of the community, and the violence and repression they suffered in the 1970s and 1980s in India during a state crackdown on the Khalistani movement, which supports the creation of an independent state in Punjab for members of the Sikh faith. The insurgency lasted more than a decade, leaving thousands of people dead, including prominent Sikh leaders.
This thing, it shook the community across the entire world, including in Punjab. Before us growing up, we always heard stories that as in like this would happen to you if you were in Punjab, that if you spoke out against the government that you could be tortured and killed. And we grew up with those stories our whole life, and then watching it transpire right before us, that somebody that was so eloquent, so like as in kind, so respected within the community internationally was gunned down.
Although Canada has publicly accused Prime Minister Narendra Modi-led Indian government of being involved in the killing of Nijjar, it is yet to provide any evidence to prove the charges. India, in turn, has accused Ottawa of harboring terrorists and extremists. In 2020, Nijjar was listed as a terrorist in India, and a reward of Rs 10 lakh was announced by India's National Investigation Agency on the separatist leader in connection with a case of conspiracy to kill a Hindu priest in January 2022. Canadian Sikhs express skepticism over this diplomatic war actually resulting in justice.
I would say like the justice system should do its work, its job, find the people that actually did this.
On September 18th, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau announced in the Parliament that Canada is probing a potential link between Indian government agents and the killing of Canadian citizen Nijjar on Canadian soil. He also called for cooperation from New Delhi to allow justice to follow its course.
Over the past number of weeks, Canadian security agencies have been actively pursuing credible allegations of a potential link between agents of the government of India and the killing of a Canadian citizen, Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Canada has declared its deep concerns to the top intelligence and security officials of the Indian government. Last week at the G20, I brought them personally and directly to Prime Minister Modi in no uncertain terms. Any involvement of a foreign government in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty.
This announcement was followed by the immediate expulsion of a senior Indian diplomat whom Foreign Minister Melanie Joly identified as the head of India's Foreign Intelligence Agency, the Research and Analysis Wing in Canada.
The allegations that a representative of a foreign government may have been involved in the killing of a Canadian citizen here in Canada on Canadian soil is not only troubling, but it is completely unacceptable. As a consequence, we've expelled a top Indian diplomat from Canada. It is the head of RAW in Canada, the Indian Intelligence Agency in Canada.
India responded by asking a senior Canadian diplomat to leave the country in the next 5 days, over Government of India's growing concern at the interference of Canadian diplomats in internal matters and their involvement in anti-India activities. India's foreign ministry also rejected the allegations as absurd and politically driven, saying they had also been rejected by Modi when mentioned by Trudeau during a meeting at the G20 summit.
Yes, I do think there is a degree of prejudice here. They have made the allegations, they have taken action on them. To us, it seems or it appears that these allegations by the Government of Canada are primarily politically driven. These allegations were raised by Prime Minister Trudeau with Prime Minister, and Prime Minister rejected them.
This was followed by India suspending visa services, which means Canadians, who are among the top visitors to India, will not be able to travel to India unless they have a visa already. Earlier, New Delhi had issued a strongly worded advisory to Indian nationals in Canada, asking them to be cautious of what it called anti-India activities and politically condoned hate crimes, which was rejected by Canadian Immigration Minister Mark Miller, who said that Canada is a safe country. Hardeep Singh Nijjar, whose murder is at the heart of the current India-Canada diplomatic crisis, headed the pro-Khalistan outfit's Khalistan Tiger Force and the Canadian arm of Sikhs for Justice (SFJ), which pushes for an independent Sikh state in India. He was fatally shot on June 18 outside a Sikh temple by 2 masked gunmen who escaped in a waiting car in Surrey, a city in Canada's British Columbia, spurring widespread questions and condemnation. Authorities, led by the Integrated Homicide Investigation Team, are currently pursuing multiple suspects in the case. Meanwhile, the rallying against the murder of Nijjar has intensified among the Sikh community members around the world, including India's neighbor Pakistan. The Indian government has often reacted sharply to demands by Sikh separatists in Western countries for Khalistan, or a separate Sikh homeland. Canada has the highest number of Sikhs outside Punjab and has seen several pro-Khalistan protests and demonstrations drawing criticism from India. The current India-Canada crisis is expected to put a significant strain on the already tenuous relationship between the two nations.